It all started with an unsettling sensation, a cold whisper brushing against the back of my neck, warning me that something was off. I had always taken pride in being a trusting husband, believing wholeheartedly in the vows my wife and I had exchanged. But over the past few months, subtle changes crept into our marriage, ones I couldn't ignore. Lydia, my wife of 10 years, had grown distant. Her phone was practically an extension of her hand, her laughter reserved for messages she wouldn't share. Late nights at work became more frequent, and she suddenly took an unusual interest in her appearance. She insisted it was for her own confidence, but something about it didn't sit right with me. I wanted to believe her. I really did. I kept telling myself I was overthinking it, letting paranoia get the best of me. But then I found a receipt. It was for an extravagant dinner at a high-end restaurant, one we had never set foot in, a place renowned for its intimate ambience, the kind where couples celebrated anniversaries and proposals. The crumpled slip of paper was buried in her purse, hidden beneath an old tube of lip balm and a half-eaten granola bar. When I confronted her, she hesitated, just for a moment, before mumbling something about a work meeting. Her eyes flickered downward, like a child caught in a lie. A work meeting. Right. I could have pressed her, demanded the truth right then and there, but a voice inside me urged patience. If I accused her too soon, she'd deny everything, and I'd be left looking like a fool. I needed proof. So I did what any rational man in my position would do. I became a detective. I started small, paying closer attention to her phone whenever she wasn't guarding it. She had grown careful, tilting the screen away from me, but I was patient. Before long, I noticed a particular number appearing again and again. Messages at all hours. Can't wait to see you. Missed you today. Every time I saw those words, my stomach twisted into knots. The contact name read Kara, but I wasn't naive. Kara wouldn't send messages like that. One night, while Lydia was in the shower, I picked up her phone. My hands trembled as I keyed in the passcode, one I had memorized weeks ago. The truth was there in black and white. A conversation with someone named Mark. Mark, with his effortless compliments. I love the way you laugh. When can I see you again? And Lydia's responses shattered me. She told him she missed him, that he made her feel alive, that she couldn't wait for their next lunch meeting. I could have barged into the bathroom that moment, demanding an explanation, but I didn't. Anger burned through me, but it wasn't enough. I didn't just want a confrontation. I wanted her to feel the devastation she had inflicted on me. So I waited, and I planned. The opportunity presented itself sooner than expected. Lydia had been raving about a major project at work, one that had taken weeks of preparation. It involved an important client, a startup looking to make waves in the industry. The morning of her big presentation, she was a mix of nerves and excitement. I kissed her goodbye, wished her luck. She smiled at me, pressing her lips against my cheek. And I wondered, had she kissed Mark the same way? As soon as she left, I set my plan in motion. A quick stop at a florist, a visit to a copy shop, and I had everything I needed. By noon, I was parked outside the client's office, watching her through glass as she commanded the room. In her sleek, black dress, she looked every bit the accomplished professional, the devoted wife, the liar. My jaw tightened as I thought about all the deceit that had led her here. When the delivery driver arrived, I handed him the package, along with precise instructions. Make sure Lydia Thompson gets this directly. I told him. She's expecting it. She wasn't. Not even close. I watched from my car as the driver stepped inside. 10 minutes later, chaos erupted. Through the glass, I watched as Lydia froze mid-sentence, her confident demeanor shattering the moment the box was placed in her hands. She accepted it with a polite smile, likely expecting flowers or some token of congratulations. But as she lifted the lid, her expression shifted. Inside were printed screenshots of her conversations with Mark, every secret message, every whispered promise, along with a handwritten note. You're not as clever as you think. The room fell into stunned silence. Color drained from her face as her hands trembled, flipping through the damning pages. The client team, a group of men in sharp suits, exchanged bewildered glances before turning their attention back to her. Though I couldn't hear the conversation, I could see the desperation in her eyes as she scrambled to explain, try in vain to salvage her presentation. It was pointless. The damage was done. And then there was Mark. I had done my research on him, too. A smooth-talking account manager with a wife and 2 kids, playing the same deceptive game as Lydia. I knew where he lived, the school his children attended, even the details of his social media life. For a moment, I considered bringing his family into this mess, but in the end, I opted for something more direct. After Lydia's disastrous presentation, I trailed her to the coffee shop where she and Mark frequently met. She never noticed me sitting in the back, quietly observing as he arrived, and slid into the seat across from her. They spoke in hushed voices, Lydia's hands fluttering in nervous gestures. Tried to explain what had just unfolded. Mark's expression darkened as realization set in. He knew exactly how bad this was. That was my cue. Mark, isn't it? I stepped up to their table. His head jerked up, confusion flashing across his face before shifting into recognition, then fear. Lydia's eyes widened in horror, her mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. "Who the hell are you?" Mark demanded, though his voice lacked the certainty of someone who truly wanted the answer. Without a word, I dropped a stack of photographs in front of them, pictures of their stolen moments, walking into hotels, sharing drinks at bars, laughing in his car. "I'm the husband," I said evenly, "the one you've been lying to, the one you've been screwing over while playing house with my wife." Mark paled. Lydia reached for my arm, tears already spilling down her cheeks. "David, please. Let's talk about this at home." I shook her off. "Oh, we'll talk," I assured her. "But first, I think Mark here needs to explain himself." I let the moment sink in before continuing. "You see, I've already sent these photos and your messages to his wife. And to HR, I figured they should know what kind of people they've been working with." Mark's face twisted in panic. You can't do that," he stammered. "You'll ruin me." I didn't blink. "You ruined yourself," I said coldly. "Both of you did. Did you really think there wouldn't be consequences? That you could destroy lives without anyone noticing?" Lydia broke down completely, sobbing into her hands. Mark sat motionless, trapped in the weight of his own downfall. I turned to leave, but paused at the door for one final blow. "Oh, and Lydia?" I glanced back. "Don't bother coming home. The locks are changed. Your things are in storage. And I've already contacted a lawyer. Good luck explaining this to your parents." Her sobs echoed behind me, but I didn't look back. For the first time in months, I felt free. In the weeks that followed, Lydia made countless attempts to reach me. Apologies, excuses, empty promises of change. I ignored them all. Mark's wife wasted no time filing for divorce. His company conducted an internal investigation, and soon enough, he was out of a job. As for me, I focused on rebuilding, one step at a time. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Lydia and Mark had made their choices. Now, they had to live with them. And me? I was finally free to live with mine.